I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 1.3 is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
All right, second.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna turn on mics. Give us just a second. We'll make sure we get the mics on. All right, we'll try not to yell. All right, we'll start over. Item 1.3 is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye and the agenda is approved. Is that better or is it too loud? You're good, okay. All right, item 1.4 is our introduction of our student board member. Mr. Anderson, you have to do that introduction.
All right. Hello. So this is our intro of our student board member here from West Window. Her name is Priscila Simental, and we have a wonderful biography that's been written about her. So I'm going to share every word of it with you. So Priscila Simental is a dedicated and accomplished senior at West Window High School and is excited to represent her peers for student representatives in the Elko School District Board of Trustees. Priscila's outstanding academic achievements, extensive extracurricular involvement, and strong leadership skills make her an ideal candidate for this important role. Academically, Priscila has maintained an impressive cumulative GPA of 4.0, and with her participation in challenging AP classes, she has earned an AP bonus, bringing her GPA to an exceptional 4.5. Her commitment to excellence in her studies is truly commendable and reflects her dedication to academic success. In addition to her academic prowess, Priscila is an active participant in her school's community. She has dedicated the last 4 years to West Wendover High School, not only as a student, but also as an athlete and a leader. Priscila's athletic prowess is evident as she has competed in volleyball, basketball, and softball for all 4 years of her high school journey. Her impressive sports background is a testament to her discipline and determination. Furthermore, Priscila is deeply involved in the school student council. Her 4-year commitment to SUCO demonstrates her passion for contributing to her school's community and fostering a positive environment for her fellow students. As class rank 1 of 76 and the student body president, Priscila has shown exceptional leadership skills and the ability to represent the interests and aspirations of her peers effectively. In summary, Priscila Simental is a driven and accomplished student leader with a stellar academic record, passion for athletics, and a commitment to her school community. She is the embodiment of West Wendover High School values and is well equipped to serve as a student representative to the Elko County School District Board of Trustees. Welcome, Priscila.
Okay, well, Priscila, welcome. We are glad you're here. We can't wait to hear your input on any of these issues as well. All right, we'll move to item 1.5, which is recognition of our S.T.A.R.S recipient.
Yeah. All right, so as a quick reminder, now the school has started, we get to go about the fun of awarding S.T.A.R.S awards to employees throughout the district. These are given to employees in any capacity, and we used to give 2 of these out a month, and we have so many amazing people, we've decided to give 3 out a month. And thanks to all the committee members from all around the district who do that. And so for this first month of September, even though we're in October now, we are going to share the September winners with you. And that first one, or one of the first 3, is one of West Wendover High School's teachers, Mr. Herman Cabeje. So we actually surprised and embarrassed Herman, let's say last Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. It was one of those 2 days. But I'm going to read as well. So I should have prefaced this with, these awards are not chosen, like we don't all get in a group and say, hey, who are our favorite employees, nor do people in central office figure that out. This is a nomination only process for how people are awarded the S.T.A.R.S award. So we're so grateful for the nominations. They come from parents, they come from colleagues, they come from students, they come from all around. And so I'm going to read to you the nomination that was written about Herman, which was what precipitated his receiving this award. So Herman was nominated by a parent, and that parent wishes to remain anonymous, and that parent said the following: I am writing to enthusiastically nominate Herman Cabeje for the S.T.A.R.S Certified Employee of the Month. As a dedicated member of West Wendover High School, Herman has consistently demonstrated an unwavering commitment to fostering an inclusive and supportive learning environment for all students, particularly those with special needs. Since Herman Cabeje's time at West Wendover High School, his passion, creativity, and tireless efforts have been nothing short of inspiring. His ability to connect with students on an individual level is unmatched, and his unwavering belief in the potential of every student has created a transformative impact within the special education department and as an advisor to the junior class. Herman's teaching methods are innovative and tailored to meet the unique needs of each student, possessing a remarkable ability to adapt lesson plans, ensuring that all students have equal opportunities to succeed. His classroom is an oasis of acceptance, where students are encouraged to embrace their strengths and their weaknesses are viewed as opportunities for growth. Furthermore, Herman consistently goes above and beyond his role as an educator. He is constantly sought out for assistance by teachers and students alike. Perhaps most importantly, Herman possesses a warmth and compassion that instantly puts students at ease. He has an innate ability to create a safe and nurturing environment where students feel supported, valued, and empowered to reach their full potential. Countless students have expressed how Herman has not only changed their academic lives, but also positively impacted their overall well-being. It is with great enthusiasm and deep gratitude that I nominate Herman for the S.T.A.R.S Certified Employee of the Month. His exceptional dedication, innovative teaching methods, and unwavering commitment to his students makes him an outstanding candidate for this recognition. I wholeheartedly believe that honoring Herman would not only acknowledge his remarkable achievements, but also serve as an inspiration to all educators within our. And I will say that upon this is anecdotally, so that was the nomination, but as I spoke to other people around the district and people found out that Herman was a recipient, especially from within the ranks of the special services world, where a lot of people know him and work with him closely. Pretty much everyone I talked to echoed all of that and said there isn't a more deserving special education teacher in our district. He's just so phenomenal. He cares so much about his kids, and so very, very deserving, and let's have one more congratulations for him.
Congratulations, Herman. If you would like, you can come down and we'll shake your hand and congratulate you individually. We're so happy to have you here, and congratulations, and thank you for taking such great care of our students.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, congratulations again. We'll move on to item 1.6, which is recognition of our 2022-2023 Milken Educator Award.
I need to read something. So, lots of positive recognitions here for our West Wendover people. So last February, I have that right. So in February, we were surprised with the knowledge that we were going to have a recipient in our district someone who's going to receive an award called the Milken Award. It's a prestigious educator award nationwide. It's so prestigious that they wouldn't tell us who the person was. They just said, you're getting one, and we're coming sometime in February. Almost like Mission Impossible, like more details to follow kind of thing. And so I just was told to block out the date because I was going to be busy that day doing that. And so I blocked out the date. And then I came to find out, okay, it's going to be someone in West Wendover, so you can plan for that day. Okay, great, someone in West Wendover. And then finally, we came to the knowledge that it was of who that was going to be. What I want to share with you real quickly is just a quick description of what the Milken Award is. So, film, so I'm gonna read from their website. It says, films have the Oscars, music has the Grammys, science has the Nobel, and sports has its gold medals. But where's the recognition for our nation's educators? Enter Lowell Milken and the Milken Educator Awards. The Milken Educator Awards, created by Lowell Milken in 1987, have awarded and inspired excellence in the world of education by honoring top educators around the country with $25,000 unrestricted awards. This is not an accolade for a lifetime achievement or the proverbial gold watch at the exit door. The Milken Educator Awards target early to mid-career education professionals for their already impressive achievements and, more significantly, for the promise of what they will accomplish in the future. Recipients are always caught by surprise when their names are announced at emotional all-school assemblies in front of cheering students, proud colleagues, distinguished officials, and the media. There's a reason why we call it the Oscars of teaching. New Milken educators have even been asked for autographs by their admiring students. And while the celebrity treatment is well deserved, the awards aren't about the glitz and the glamour. They're about bringing attention to these classroom heroes, serving at once as validation, motivation, and inspiration to current and future quality educators. The message: we recognize you, we value you, thank you. So it was back in February that we sat in some nice, neatly organized chairs, and every student in the elementary school was lined up in these stands, and we had this big thing, and at that moment, Rejily Soriano had no idea that everyone was gathered in the room to acknowledge her and congratulate her and recognize her, but that's what we did that day, and it was a wonderful experience. I'll never forget how she was like stunned in her seat and almost like she didn't hear her name, kind of. It was pretty amazing. And then we all went on to celebrate her and mention all the wonderful things she does for her students. So, why are we talking about this in October? What happened in February? Well, the state recently had, like a month or two ago, a meeting where the recipients were invited to come receive a physical award to go along with everything else. Rejily was not able to make it that day, but they made sure to ship us the obelisk. And I almost put it in the mail that day to go to her, and I said, no, you know what, we can wait until October 3rd, and we'll bring it out to her personally, and bring her in front of some more people who could cheer for her when that time came. So, so here we are. We have the award, and so I'm going to walk over there. While I'm doing that, Mr. S.T.A.R.S wants to share something with you board members, and it's going to be, yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. I'm excited to show it to you. So I'm going to move over there. He's going to show you some stuff on the screen, and then we will have Rejily come down and share the award. Rejily, why don't you come down near Mr. S.T.A.R.S right now? Because I want you to see what he's going to show all of them to.
Okay, so this is, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit because I think Charles is saying there's some feedback on the microphone. But I want to show you this real quick. This is a chart that we use for the maps, and most of the teachers, they use these as well, so they know this. But what happens is all the kids, as they get tested throughout the year, they show up on this map. Now, what we want to do is we want to move all these kids up in this quadrant here, right? This is low achievement, low growth. They came in low, but unfortunately the teacher didn't push enough, and so the kids stayed in this area. This is a low achievement, high growth, so the kids came in low, but they grew really high really quickly. This is a high achievement, low growth, so they're high kids, but they didn't attain what they should have attained quickly enough. And this is a high achievement and high growth. So this is where we want everybody to be. Normally, we find kids around here, and as we go throughout the school year, we try to push them up. But we always have outliers with special ed kids. We might have low kids, things like that. I want to show you Rejily's chart from last year. This is math. You see all the, can you see that where you're at? Okay. And this is language arts. So we see everybody in this chart except for this one kid, which is still came in low, but achieved high, right? Way down here and up here. I've never seen a chart like this. I've been in Elko County 8 years, and I've been in Virginia 9 years as an administrator, and I've never seen this. Again, normally it's not like this. So what I did is said, this is probably an outlier. right? I went back last year, very, very similar. The year before, again, fairly similar. And how long have you been teaching? 6, 7 years? 7 years. So she's found the magic pill, if you will, right? I don't know what it is, but you're gonna have to share it with you guys, right? So I wanted to show you that.
Yeah, I'll echo that. To see like basically 100% of your kids' high growth and high achievement is just phenomenal. And I know she's benefited from, you know, having great mentor teachers around her, but also her hard work, and it's a lot of things. And that was the first thing she talked about on that day was, no, this is not. She was not willing to take all the credit, as most wonderful achievers do. But anyway, thank you so much, Mr. Soriano, for sharing that, just so you can all see what wonderful results she gets with our students. And again, we always want to keep in mind that when we talk about our percentages and we talk about those dots on the screen, those aren't percent symbols and those aren't dots, those are kids. And so she's being recognized for the amazing impact she's having, not on how dots move on a screen, but on how we're impacting kids. So Rejily, this is the beautiful obelisk that they give as a physical award. I want you to see it, and I'll show it to everyone. I'll do a little Simba action here. So that's what it looks like. And again, just a continuation of celebrating your amazing accomplishments. And thank you so much, and congratulations again.
And Rejily, if you want to come, we can shake your hands. If you can, you don't have to, if you would like to, we'd love to.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And just
Congratulations, Mr. Soriano. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, well, congratulations again. It's awesome to have that. Go ahead and move to item 1.7, input from the public. This is a period devoted to comments by the general public, if any. In the interest of privacy and due process, the public is requested to not raise personnel issues, except in a legally noticed closed personnel session of the board. Comments are limited to 3 consecutive minutes. A speaker's time may not be reserved, divided, apportioned, or deferred. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been included specifically on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. Is there anyone who wishes to make a comment at this time?
Hi, I'm Kathy Durham. Can you hear me? Yes. I'm Kathy Durham from West Wendover High School, American Government Economics, US History, and it's you guys Teacher Academy. You guys call it Teacher Training, I call it Teacher Academy. Apologize, I'm not on the agenda, so I'm just going to make this quick and brief. You guys have done a great job in bringing this program into our school. I would love to invite all of you in to come and see this class in action. This is a CTE program. It is a 4-year program that allows students to intro into education. If they take all 4 years, pass the test, and the last 2 years take dual enrollment credit courses, and they only have to do 2 years of college, and they are ready to become an educator. It is a phenomenal class. It is the last year was the first year that they taught it, or excuse me, that I taught it, that it was introduced. I'm not a big fan of textbooks, and I can even say that you guys got it right with the textbook as well. It's very well put together. You know, even if kids don't, with this class, I think it's very important, because one thing that we learned with this class is even if the kids don't decide to go into the field of education, it is giving our students a different perspective of being on the other side of the desk. They are understanding the time and effort this teachers take to do work. They're understanding the feedback process. They're understanding grading. They're understanding all of the administrative busy task that teachers have to do that students never see. So it is actually making our students, or preparing our students to be better students, even if they don't go on to be teachers. I would would love to have you guys come in and see this class in action and see what you guys are putting funding behind with what you're doing. And this is the yearbook that my students made last year. Some of the things that we did, we came over to the elementary school and adopted a third grade classroom. And my student teachers, as I call them, actually took over and taught third graders. And then you have the student third grade feedback as to what they did. We used some lessons from Teach Rock that are United States standards across the board, all the way aligned with every content area. And we were able to teach them English, math, science, using music and art. And the kids, as you can see, they absolutely loved it, and my students were very successful. So I would like to say kudos to the board, and please continue pundits, and please continue. And if my time is not up, American government civics is such a crucial subject, and I am gutted that we have cut it to a semester, especially when we do not have civics emphasized as strongly as it needs to be emphasized in the middle schools and the elementary schools. I do see 100% need for teaching economics. I wasn't thrilled about teaching it last year. Now that I understand it, I am thrilled to be teaching economics because I now get it and I see the value in it. It is very well connected to government. You can't teach government without understanding economics. You can't understand economics without government. I will hurry up. You need to expand government back to year 8 economics as a semester.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment at this time? All right, we'll move on to item 2.1, discussion and consideration to appoint a county resident to the Oversight Panel for School District Capital Improvement Projects pursuant to Section 5.51D of AB 519 of the 2023 Nevada Legislative Session. I turned it off, so turn it back on. On the bottom.
Okay. So last board meeting, as you'll recall, we appointed Josh Byers to be on the same committee. But the school board is also responsible for appointing someone from the community, the county, who fits a bunch of criteria, but kind of the most important one that would qualify them for the committee is that they would have experience in the building of school facilities. And so at that time, so we discussed that at the last meeting and invited members from all over the community who were interested in serving on this oversight panel for the use of capital improvement funds from AB 519 to send in their resume to be considered for appointment to this committee. And said we would defer at least 2 weeks to collect those and then bring it back at this meeting. So before you, we are ready to talk about it again, and we have had a person submit a resume of their qualifications to be on the committee. And I think at this point, I'm probably done talking and let you guys discuss.
All right, discussion from the board.
Madam Chair, we have one applicant. I feel the applicant is qualified. Therefore, I move to appoint Ms. Jennifer Roberson as the oversight panel for school district capital improvement projects pursuant to Section 5.51D of the Assembly Bill 519 of the 2023 Nevada Legislative Session.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and the motion carries. All right, item 2.2 is receipt, review, and possible approval of an MOA. So maybe I can read that out for you. It's a memorandum of agreement with Northern Nevada. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna get all of these right. NNRPDP, Northern Nevada Regional Professional Development Program, just so you guys aren't just hearing acronyms, to provide a multicultural education and family engagement sessions. This is for possible.
Okay, so a little background here. As recently as just before this legislative session, there are 2 courses that teachers have to have taken. And if you get your degree for teaching in Nevada, it's part of your degree. But if you come from outside of Nevada, like I did, when you arrive, they say a provision of your ability to get a license is you take this multicultural education and this family engagement class, and you have to do it. And that up until recently has always been at your own expense. And so in this most recent legislative session, there was a bill passed that required that these courses not come at the expense of the educators, that they would be free, that every school district would have a way to make sure this could be done free of charge. A person can still do it to gain graduate credits if they want to. They're welcome to do that through university. That's what they want to do. But thankfully, we have the NNRPDP very close to us, and they work with our teachers, with our administrators, and with us in central office. And so as soon as this was released, this bill, a memo came out from the state, and then Annie Hicks, who is now our director of NNRPDP, immediately put together a plan for how they could do that for all of our staff. And she met with Ray Smith, who's our director of school improvement, and who does a lot of professional development collaboration with them. And this memorandum of agreement is simply a formalization of that for us to enter, so we can start offering that to our charge. If you have any more questions, we can answer them.
All right, any questions or discussion from the board?
Madam Chair, move to approve the MOA with NNRPDP to provide multicultural education and family engagement sessions.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and the motion carries. Item 2.3 is receipt, review, and possible approval of an attorney-client fee contract for proposed social media mass litigation. This is for possible action.
All right, so this is another one that's back for, I think this is our 3rd meeting where it's being discussed. So quick recap, there's what is called a mass litigation situation going on to hold social media mega companies responsible for the targeted influence they're having on our young people in our nation. So our school district, in addition to every other school district within the state, was approached with their level of interest to be part of this, out against this, and I do not have the list of all the school districts in our state that have already signed on, but a bunch of them have, and so we were approached with the same. And so this item is here. So it was here last meeting as well. There were a couple of concerns that were raised, and threw away the piece of paper where the things that need to be corrected were. But one of the couple of those concerns were, we're not comfortable going forward with this with those. I think they're like contradictory statements type of things. And so our legal counsel pushed that back to Paul Anderson, no relation to me, and they agreed that those things could be clarified better. They made those corrections and sent it back for. And last meeting it wasn't a consent agenda because there were so many questions and some maybe dissenting opinions about the whole matter. We just decided to move it as an action item and whatever happens here tonight. Let's move on after that point, if it's what you want to do. So, the new contract is there. If anyone wants to share anything else, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson. Are there any questions or discussion on this item?
Madam Chair, thank you very much. I know I had some concerns. I appreciate the concerns of our legal counsel in addressing those. And therefore I move to approve the attorney-client fee contract for proposed social media mass litigation.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
Chair votes aye and the motion carries. Item 2.4 is receipt, review, and possible approval of the new superintendent evaluation tool. This is for possible action. And I will go ahead and take this one. Mr. Anderson doesn't need to. We are working on a new evaluation tool. As excuse me, Mr. Anderson is the only technical employee of the board. We need to evaluate him once a year to make sure he's taking care of our district the way we want him to. Just as teachers are evaluated and administrators are evaluated, Mr. Anderson also gets evaluated. So we're working on an evaluation tool. It can be seen here on the agenda. This is just a draft, and if we have additions to this, I know. Sorry, or maybe I'll just talk. There we go. We asked the board to send in any requests or additions. Susan was the only one who sent anything in. So at this time, I guess I will ask if there's any other items that the board would like to consider to be added to this evaluation tool.
I had just one thing, and it's very simple, but in the grading system, it lists 1 ineffective, 2 developing, 3 effective, and 4 highly effective. I don't think developing is the appropriate word to use there. I'd like to see something more along the lines of needs improvement, or not to the point of ineffective, but that is below standard. It looks like we've eliminated 1 to where we're on 1 through 4 now. So I just, developing doesn't, I don't think would describe exactly what that could be.
I'll let Mr. Anderson respond on. Yep.
So yeah, thanks, Jeff. Real simple answer why those 4 were included as opposed to what we had before is those words mirror exactly the words and the rating scale that our teachers and administrators and all of our staff have to have for their evaluations. So it was sort of the idea was, hey, that's how we're assigning ratings to them. And those ratings don't come from us either. Those are ratings that the NNRPDP uses from the state. So I've always felt like, yeah, ineffective developing like words carry meaning, semantics have different meanings for different people. So real quick answer, we just did it to match exactly how the words we use when we rate from the rest of our staff. So by not rating me the same wording. My opinion matters in this. I don't particularly care what the word is. If I get a 2, you can put banana next to it, and I know what a 2 means, not a 4, and so I'm just trying to be better than banana because I know what 2 means. So, but yeah, I get your point. But that's the reason why.
All
right, does that help, Joe? Yeah, we're trying for some consistency on this. Is any other comments or additions to the evaluation?
I've sent mine to Cassie, so I don't want to be repetitive.
If I may.
Please. I mean, I can be.
So we did receive, so Teresa and I had met with Mr. Anderson in visiting on this to start cleaning it up. As Mr. Anderson said, that's why we went from a 5-point scale to a 4-point scale, was to match what the county, what the district does with the rest of our folks. And then we did get 1 response back from Cassie with the suggested changes. So I don't know that that went to the rest of the board, however. Did that go just to Teresa and I?
It hasn't gone.
And I apologize, I thought perhaps I should print this out and provide it, but of the comments that came back in, there was a suggestion under Part A, relationship with the board, to add two additional scoring criteria. One would be provides necessary support for effective board decision-making. And the second would be builds strong team relationships within the board. There were two more suggestions for B, administration of the school district. And some of this I may have taken a little liberty in trying to just word it to get it in there. This one's a little wordy. Ensures fiscal responsibility within the district and appropriately oversees the financial health of the district to the benefit of students. The next one would be applies skills and knowledge obtained from professional development courses, conferences, and seminars to the role, implements concepts throughout the district. The last one last section that had items added to it would be section D, also with two additional items. One saying leads and supports data-informed instruction from administrators and teachers. And the next one would be champions board goals and develops linkages between board goals and district strategies to ensure positive outcomes. That would then make for a total of 19 areas in which the superintendent would be evaluated on with a 1-4 scale. So I tried to take those suggestions that came in. One of the things that I personally had spun my own personal kind of thoughts on this was that as the head of the organization or the CEO, there are certainly things that the superintendent is not going to have direct day-to-day control over. Instead, that's why we have a staff of directors, et cetera, that then continues to trickle down. So I tried to word it in such a way that wasn't making the superintendent directly responsible for fiscal management, but at the same time, we were able to identify was the district's fiscal policies or fiscal standing in such a manner that was appropriate for what we thought and what we feel he could control. So that was where I was trying to wordsmith that a little bit. I would suggest that we send this out one more time to the full board because reading it off is not, I don't think, as effective, and I regret that I did not send it to everyone in advance. There were a couple of other questions in the document that we got back, Teresa and I, as far as how do we measure this? That is a good question. There are a lot of things in here that is not a direct yes, no, pass, fail type of thing. I think it is going to be very subjective, but the hope of what I was trying to do in developing some of the verbiage was to have an overall, is it clear that he has his fingers in the pot, so to speak, that he has a way to be able to control the outcome and then be able to evaluate him appropriately, because I think it's only fair to give the superintendent what we're scoring on, but also to give the superintendent the ability to affect the outcome of that. So that's kind of where I went with that, just to give some background.
I appreciate Matt working on that. So if it's okay with the board, rather than taking a vote tonight on this, if we can send that out to everyone so that you can see it and it will show up on the next agenda. If you have recommendations, again, please send them to Cassie. And we can go through, if someone's comfortable saying, you know, I like the tool just like it is, you're welcome to make a motion and we can vote on that. But if not, if everyone would like to see it with the additions, and if you have any other additions or things you'd like to take out, then please let Cassie know. So what's the pleasure of the board? Would you like to vote on the evaluation we have, or would you like to see the one with the changes, come back to our next meeting with also other potential changes that you would send to Cassie?
I would like to see it come back to another meeting. Those like all together.
I guess you can make that a motion.
Just motion to table. Yeah.
Perhaps just say
I
table.
make a motion to table the superintendent's evaluation until we can add a few changes to it and come back to the next board meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, so everyone be watching for that to come to you, and then it will be back at our next board meeting, and hopefully we'll be able to finalize that, because Mr. Anderson would certainly like to know how we are evaluating him. All right.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Because of that, of the time frame, can we move when we normally do the evaluation a little farther out so that he has the same amount of time like last year? I can't remember, is it April or March or something? May 1st, right? Oh, May 1st, so maybe.
So according to no evaluation done prior to May 1st, you could do it later, but it defaults to September. So I guess we could reconvene a negotiation of my contract. That would be the only way to change that.
I was just thinking we did it a little bit earlier last year, so if we're a little late getting this put together, could we add a couple weeks, that's still before that time?
We were actually a little late last year.
Okay.
Happened until May.
All right, any other questions? We do have a motion on the floor. All right, all in favor of tabling this until the next meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and the motion carries. We'll be seeing this again next meeting. Item 2.5 is receive, review, and possible approval of proposed new policy JGCE, student welfare, student safety video surveillance. This is for possible action.
Right, so this is, I think, the third time we've seen this one. We thought it was gonna be ready the last meeting, but then late in the game, we realized that there was some pretty important in there, about the fact that our bus cameras already are doing audio recording. There was something in the previous iteration that indicated we did not have any audio being collected. So, in an effort to be very transparent and trying to hide the report on buses, obviously do, and that has been incorporated into this policy suggestions, proposed policy, and
All right, any questions or discussion from the board?
No, Madam President, I move to approve the new policy JGCE, student welfare, student safety, video surveillance.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and the motion carries. Item 2.6 is receive, review, and discussion of proposed changes to policy GDG.03, no recording of speakers. Mr. Anderson?
yep, this is a non-action item. It's our first viewing, well, it's our first viewing recently of this policy. So this is one that came out last calendar year, and maybe it was in it was in the fall sometime. In any case, it's not the oldest policy in the book, so to speak. But the last policy that we just passed necessitated a change to this policy. Because there's no recording of speakers means you can't record people's conversations without their knowledge, and so it's making sure that everyone knows that this particular policy does not apply to certain district surveillance equipment, such as the bus cameras that do record audio all the time, every time they're on it. So.
All right, just a reminder, this is a non-action item. Are there any questions on this policy or any discussion? All right, seeing none, we will bring this back as an action item on our next agenda. As always, if you have questions, please direct them to Mr. Anderson, and you can answer them between now and then. All right, item 2.7 is also a non-action item. It is receipt, review, and discussion of proposed changes to policy DHF, travel and other employee reimbursements.
Yeah, thank you. So this again is first reading, so no action here today, but this is another semi-recent policy, but as our district has made phenomenal efforts to acquire grant funding, shout out Cassie Stelke and her wonderful staff who do such a great job of that. Federal grants have very specific requirements about what can and may not be used and how it's used, who approves it. There's a lot of specific requirements for how those processes happen. It's not a bad thing necessarily, it's just that's the way money and government works. So to make sure we are being totally compliant and make sure that we are able to receive those funds because we have policies with this wording in place. Our grant coordinator, Cassie Stelke, and our legal counsel, the wording that is in there is required wording to govern how specifically federal grant monies can be used for travel purposes.
All right, any questions from the board on this one?
I've got one, but it really doesn't even pertain to the reason we're looking at this policy, but since we're looking at it, I'd like to suggest again, this was something that we had talked about last time we looked at this, but it gets it to where any travel, for example, that I would have to do has to be claimed monthly. And that basically puts my name on the agenda with me abstaining every meeting. And I would like for under procedure to put a provision for board members to be able to do regular board travel on a quarterly basis, so that I'm not interrupting the meeting every time to say that this one's for me and I'm getting money. And it's awkward. I haven't been claiming it because I didn't want to go through that. But since we're looking at this policy and that's something to throw in there, I would like to see it.
All right, well, this is a non-action item, so that suggestion can certainly be considered. Are there any other discussion? Is there any other discussion or questions on this item?
If I may. Thank you. One of the other things that again is not pertinent to the change, but is something that as I was rereading it one more time, under policy 5 procedure subsection C subsection 8, it indicates that if the general services agreement rate for hotels, or sorry, general services administration rate for hotels exceeds or is lower than the amount that is being requested, that the superintendent may approve an increase. If the superintendent is approving an increase for the board, that may put a little bit of an uncomfortable position in that, as Teresa already mentioned, he's our only direct employee. I don't want there to be any pressure or any assumption that there is an appearance of pressure to approve something that is a direct benefit or at least a direct expense back to the board. A suggestion could be to have the CFO perhaps approve that, which adds a layer in between and adds some separation. I don't want to add additional burden. I'm just thinking out loud of how do we make this a little bit better from a transparency standpoint without also putting the superintendent into a position where he has to approve or deny his quote unquote boss's travel. So that was one thing that I had. The other thing is kind of to Jeff's point. I know that we approve travel on a retroactive basis, basically. Another thought could be, in addition to changing it quarterly, perhaps we establish a budget quarterly to say this is what we think we're going to be using. I know that our CFO does a great job of making sure that it works. And then at the end of the budget year, it comes back to us anyways, and we augment if we need to. But as good stewards for the public, it may be good to say, here's what we see travel coming for, and making sure that we are seeing that up front. That also doesn't put a position back onto any trustee of, oh, well, we thought you were going to be able to approve this, but now we're denying it. So having it up front may be helpful. Just thoughts doesn't necessarily mean we have to. Would love to hear anybody else chime in if they're interested.
All right, any other thoughts from the board on this one? Again, this is a non-action item, so those are items that can be considered, and then we can see this again on the next agenda.
I was just thinking with his last. I was just thinking with his last suggestion, wondering how that would work when all the different conferences and stuff are in different places every year, different times, different amounts of conferences and trainings. I just don't know how that would work out.
I think that's a good question, because the conferences are in different locations and the expenses will be different, but it certainly can't hurt to look at, maybe a better way of handling that as far as board expenses go. All right, any other questions on that one or thoughts? Okay, we will see that one again on the next agenda. All right, we'll move on to item 3.1, which is our consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and the consent agenda is approved. Item 4.1 is a report from our NASB Director.
Might be real quick today, just something that I missed on the last meeting, but to let y'all know that we will be having next year, September 6th and 7th, having a joint board meeting and our trustee professional development meetings in Elko. So we should all be able to attend, hopefully. But that's a nice one to be able to get, some here in our home area. So, and then just everybody should have emails and stuff going forward for the conference coming up, for the annual conference, and that's all I've got today.
All right, thank you, Jeff. We'll move on to item 4.2, which is items from board members. All right, seeing none, we will just keep cruising through this agenda. We'll go to item 5.1, which is our superintendent's report.
All right, so I just wanted to mention the names real quick. So we mentioned about Herman being one of our students. We'll go more into detail about our other two recipients that are being in 2 weeks, but did want to, since we acknowledge one of them here publicly today, I'll say the names of the others. And so Ashley Pickett, who was a long-term service member in elementary, was another service recipient from this month. Yes, and Khalifa Marin, who was a custodian at Elko High School, she also received S.T.A.R.S award. And we will be invited over them on 17th. Wonderful nominations at that time. Thanks to Susan and handling all those arrangements and pouring through the nominations. It sounded like we had a good bunch at the beginning. I will say to everyone who's left here, and anyone who's listening online now or views this later, is typically at the beginning of the year, we do get a decent number of nominations. And then as the year goes on, they do go. So, be not weary in nominating your favorite teachers and staff members. Keep that going all year long. It's a good problem to have, and we have lots of nominations to work through. So, looking forward to seeing those two in the next board meeting. I want to give a shout out as well to the Valley Gold Mines. They're always very generous to us, and to take a picture with some of the representatives with a big cardboard check. We talked about the incentive grant before, which is money that schools can apply for small projects. Valley Gold Mines has donated over $80,000 to the school district for small projects that staff and schools can apply for. So anyone who's interested in doing that, whether you're a teacher or whatever your role is in our school district, please make sure you talk to your administrator about what is the incentive grant, what is the Nevada Gold Mine grant, and how do we apply for it. And your administrators have received that information. I think Cassie's helped you and sends it out to every teacher, but sometimes you just lay down on that. Delete it. So let's not fail to make use of funds that generous community partners are willing to give to us. Let's make sure we make use of that. Had a great time at the stage color run last Thursday. Board President Dastrup and I had purple and pink and yellow and red. Lots of colors. Blue. How did I forget blue? We had it all over us, and it was so much fun. Running, walking with the kids, having fun. It wasn't just to go out and run and have fun, but stage was raising money for and celebrating a successful fundraiser for Playground for Stage Elementary School. They well surpassed the goal that they had in place. So congratulations to them, and congratulations to Springfield for other schools. We see that Springfield Elementary had some great things happen in their playground, and now Sage and my understanding is Liberty Peak the same day having them up too. They're rallying around their schools, and we love to see that. So thanks to everyone for doing that. Two more things. Number one, need to notify the board that so you're all aware that we've been going through our yearly financial audit. We have a very thorough audit that's going on right now, and that audit has turned up some potential prior period adjustments that need to happen. And so what that means is Julie and her staff will not be able to get that done next week, 2 weeks. And so we have requested an extension from the state Department of Taxation for that purpose. And they were willing to grant that to us given the circumstances. But an important part of that was to notify us, and that we will have a 30-day extension beyond the regular time frame. So you are informed that that is happening. Okay. And thanks to Julie, the staff. So it's a rigorous activity that happens every year. It's always stressful and try to do your best, and so they're very good. Thanks to them. And then the last thing, and I thought I would have a little bit more of a heads up on this, but I think it was when we were in Jackpot just about a month ago, we discussed the State Board of Education trying to establish a regulation that would require all high schools of the state to start at 8 o'clock or later. And that regulation went for, or that concept went for draft language before the Legislative Council Bureau and has returned, and there's a State Board of Education meeting tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And I testify on behalf of myself and our school district as to how that would cause quite an hardship for several more schools. And most importantly is the fact that I don't really think it's their business what time is up, to be perfectly honest. And so that is at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And there are, so you can either attend virtually or in person in Carson City or Las Vegas. And they welcome, and I invite you to provide comment on how that would make you feel and how that would impact you individually or you as, not just speaking to you, but speaking to parents, students, teachers, everyone. How you feel about them doing that. And so there's a way to call in, and like an oversight phone number, the keystrokes, or anything like that can be found on the State Board of Education website. There's also an email address where you can type in a comment, very similar to how we do it. You have 3 minutes, whether it's written or spoken. You have 3 minutes to share your comments. So, but the thing that I believe Ms. Dastrup has emphasized this once before, but I'm going to say it again. The big takeaway we got from that meeting was they didn't particularly want to hear what the superintendent thought about financial issues. They didn't particularly want to hear what the board presidents thought. They very much wanted to hear from kids, teachers, administrators about how that would impact them. And so we often talk about like how we sometimes voice our concerns to the wrong people. And the people that need to hear in this situation are the members of the State Board of Education. they need to hear from you directly. So that's our students, our parents, our teachers, our community businesses, how that would impact you, because there are certain industries that would have a big impact. So, I've talked to Kate Church already. She's going to make sure we get some sort of communication on the morning so people are aware. They had his son on the job. We need people to speak up and make sure that your opinions are whether you are in favor of or against. I don't want to seem like I'm telling you to vote against it because you should speak up however your conscience dictates, but it's important to be involved and say how you feel. So that is that. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any questions for Mr. Anderson?
Sorry, I thought she was showing me for the 2 months. I was like, I got that. He knows. I need to thank our sponsors for the S.T.A.R.S program. There are flowers, there are Amazon gift cards, there are Starbucks gift cards that are beautiful. There's a frame, a certificate, that stuff doesn't come free, and we're not spending taxpayer money on it either. Those all come from donations, and so thanks to Leanne's Flowers for donating the flowers, to Maverick Gaming, and to the Rotary Club of Elko Lizards. Making sure our teachers are well taken. Thank you so much for all the donors.
All right, yes, thank you to our donors and our community partners. We appreciate them. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, for your report. We'll move on to item 6.1, which is approval of the accounts payable.
Move to approve the accounts payable.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, abstentions, or disclosures?
Okay, I'll disclose that I have a close relative that works for Wells Rural Electric, but I will not be abstaining from voting.
All right, I will be disclosing the same. I also have a relative that works for Wells Rural Electric, but I will not be abstaining. Are there any other questions on the accounts payable? All right, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Chair votes aye, and the motion carries. Item 7.1 is a final opportunity for input from the public. Is there anyone who wishes to make a comment at this time? All right, and Mr. Anderson just beat me to it, but Priscilla, thank you for being here with us. We appreciate you being part of this process, and thank you for taking care of Wendover. It sounds like you do amazing things, so we appreciate your contribution here, even though you're just, your presence was your smile and your introduction, but thanks for all you do here in West Wendover as well.
I hope you don't mind, Madam President. I just wanted to ask your input, since that's all they care about at the state level, as far as pushing that back. I know sounds like you're on your way out of, it wouldn't really impact you per se, because it probably wouldn't start till next year or something. What do you think about them pushing the start time back? And remember, if we push the time back when we start, we push the time back when we end as well. So I just want to get your opinion on what you thought, if you don't mind me asking.
So the time to start, when you push back to 8 o'clock, correct?
At least.
I feel like it would be a drastic, well, not a drastic change. I feel like there would be a minor change that students would not be used to at first, but I do feel like students even have. And as well as if they push back the starting time and they push back the ending time, then that gives students more time for after school activities such as athletics or clubs. So it could benefit the school as well.
All right, thank you. We appreciate that. All right, our next, anything else before we, all right, our next item is to take a motion to move into closed session. So go and enjoy your community barbecue unless you want to hang out in the hall and wait for us to come out of closed session, which you are totally welcome to do. But thank you so much for hosting us, and we'll give you a minute to decide to hang out in the hall or wait for us in here.
Madam Chair, move to move into closed session for NRS 288.220 for discussion of labor unit contracts and negotiations.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Closed session.